What's up, guys? Welcome to Gwhisky. My name's Jeff. Now, this is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. That sounds interesting? Hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, why don't we jump into our review? Today, we're looking at the Glenmorangie, A Tale of Cake. Stick around. So we're jumping on the hype train today, but not this year's hype train. We're jumping on last year's hype train. We have Glenmorangie, A Tale of Cake with us. This was a 2020 limited release, and it had the whiskey world absolutely abuzz last year. Everybody was talking about this whiskey. Not only that, their sister brand Ardbeg came out with their Wee Beastie 5-year-old and their Black, both of which were huge successes. So with those three bottles basically being the talk of the town in 2020, parent company LVMH must have been feeling pretty good about themselves. Now, this whiskey did divide opinions. A lot of people absolutely loved it. They said it was a great release. It made some top 10 lists. Other people called it gimmicky. They said it was overrated. The price of our bottle was often brought up, but regardless of how people felt about it, everyone was talking about this whiskey. Not only that, you have our fancy packaging here. You have the fact that it's a limited release, and you had a pretty heavy marketing campaign behind it. So, A Tale of Cake sold like hot products. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the concept behind this bottle. Glenmorangie Master Distiller Dr. Bill Lumsden used to eat cake with his grandmother as a kid, and he tried to recreate some of those flavors in our A Tale of Cake here. Now, what we've got inside the bottle should be our Glenmorangie 10-year-old with some added time to allow for a Tokaji wine finish. Tokaji is a sweet white wine from Hungary made with a special kind of rotting grape. If you want to learn more about Tokaji, there's plenty of other reviews that have covered it in much more detail than I intend to go into. But people have described Tokaji as kind of like Sauternes on steroids. Now, Tokaji is not new to whiskey, or Tokaji finishes are not new to whiskey, but they are pretty rare. Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many whiskeys that have a Tokaji finish. I know we had a Ben Riach single cask a few years back. We had a Long Grow out at one point that spent some time in Tokaji casks, but like I said, pretty rare. You don't see it that often. For our Glenmorangie here, I did some digging online. I couldn't find much information regarding the duration of our finish, so I have no idea how much time it's spent in those casks. If any of you out there do know, please let me know down in the comments, because I am kind of curious. Anyway, it's a no age stated expression, but like I said, it's based off of that Glenmoe original, so we can assume that it's around 10 years old. And yeah, we have that sweet wine finish in here. We have a marketing campaign that's kind of like centered around cake, so presumably we have a pretty sweet whiskey on our hands. Now, I should say that I generally do like Glenmorangie. I think they have a beautifully gentle distillate, and they're actually known for pioneering finishes in whiskey, so finishes do tend to suit their house style. But that being said, they're not my favorite brand. I find a lot of the releases very hit or miss, but yeah, when they're good, they're good. And I even like their 10-year-old, which I know comes in at 40%, but we have some nice flavors in there. It's a budget-friendly option, and it's one of the first whiskeys that I really fell in love with when I got into single malt, so I have a bit of a soft spot for it. So if we have the 10-year-old as our base for A Tale of Cake, we're starting off in a good place. It's all going to come down to that finish. So with that said, why don't we hop into a review of this one, see what this whiskey's all about, and in the meantime, if you can kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So Glenmoe isn't always consistent here, but it does seem like they're trying with this one. Our ABV comes in at 46%. This is going to be non-chill filtered. Unfortunately, it is a colored whiskey, so we got 2 out of 3. I'll take it. So you can take a look at our unnatural color here. The packaging, obviously a hell of a thing with this whiskey. I don't think anyone would deny that the look of the bottle and of our box over here played at least a small role in the whiskey's popularity. But I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's clever, it's loud, it's festive, it's fun, it's very creative. It's definitely memorable and eye-catching. You're not going to miss it on the shelves of the store, and yeah, I mean, that's great marketing. Presentation score for this one, 4 out of 5. It does mention that it's non-chill filtered on the back here, which is nice. I like that they tell us what kind of casks it was finished in. We have our little blurb on the back here that carries on about Granny's cake. More mentions of cake on our front label here, and I mean, you guys know how it is. You say something tastes like something else, people start looking for that association, which, you know, fair play, that's very clever. I like this bottle. I think it's very eye-catching, so points for being unique. For the nose, very bright and fresh. Pink grapefruit. Cake, yeah, we've got some cake in here, like vanilla sponge cake. Could be power of suggestion. I get sprinkles in here too. Sweet white wine, which makes sense. We have apple tart, Mirabelle plums, and some pineapples in here. It's a very nice character, actually. Now our palate. Oh, nice. This is sweeter. It's less tart than our nose suggested. We have a nice oily mouthfeel to this. I'm getting icing sugar, white grapes, some freshly sliced pears, apples, peaches, so a lot of stone fruit in here, and ice wine. And now the finish. So very much a continuation of our palate here. I'm getting white wine, white grapes, icing sugar, quite a bit of like an orange juice note in here. We have our vanilla sponge cake again, more of those sprinkles, and we have like maybe pastries, fruit pastries like apple tarts, lemon tarts, things like that. Finish would be medium in length. This is good stuff. Our wine has definitely left its mark on the whiskey, but not so much that it's completely overwhelmed our distillate. So if you're a fan of like the Glenmorangie base profile, which I am, you'll be happy to know that still does shine through in our whiskey here. Overall, we've got something that's pretty balanced, and it has a nice, unique sweetness to it. So really nice flavors in here, and I do get the cake association. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure that association would be quite as strong if it weren't so heavily suggested, but because it is, I do look for those flavors, and yeah, I absolutely find them. I'm getting vanilla, I'm getting sponge cake, I'm getting icing sugar, pineapples, sprinkles, that's all in here. And along with those cakey notes, we do have almost like an overripe fruity sweetness in here. I'm getting lots of grapey, winey notes, juicy stone fruits. So in my mind, I'm kind of going to like an orchard on a sunny day, and we're having a picnic. In our picnic, we've got sliced fresh fruits in there. We've got some pastries. We've got, of course, that cake, so like vanilla sponge cake, something like that. Orange juice and chilled white wine, which of course sounds very idyllic, and it is. This is a very bright, very pleasant sipper. But I will say I find it a little bit forgettable. This is not the epic, cakey indulgence that I wanted it to be, that I expected it to be. Maybe I built it up too much in my head, but yeah, for me, this hits more like an above average casual sipper, not a hype-worthy event. So while everything does work in this whiskey, nothing's off, it doesn't blow me away. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Tokaji has been described as Sauternes on steroids, so I figured I'd do a side-by-side. I did a side-by-side with our Glenmorangie Neck Dal here, which of course is a Sauternes finished whiskey, and as it turns out, our cake has a more substantial, sweeter finish to it, and generally just more stuff going on than our Neck Dal here. So, do I prefer the cake? Yeah, I do. I think it's the better whiskey. I think we've got more freshness, more vibrancy, more character to those flavors. Not only that, it does feel like everything's a little bit more cranked up. That sweetness adds an extra layer. And then by contrast, when you come back to our Sauternes finish here, it feels a little bit more toned down. It almost hits like a bourbon matured whiskey in the sense that it's much harder to detect the notes from the finish after coming back from this one. Anyway, I do like this stuff. My score is going to be 86, and the standout here really is that sweetness, that cakey sweetness, that overripe fruit sweetness. It's very pleasant, but oppositely, it's not as memorable or as incredibly special as you might hope, and honestly, without all the hype, without all the buzz behind it, I don't think this whiskey would be such a standout, although I would still like it. So yeah, I'm not going to hate on this whiskey. I legitimately like it. Getting through this bottle won't be a chore. I'm going to enjoy it. But it's not a very complex or demanding whiskey. What it is a nice, bright, easy, casual sipper. And it's pretty much what I would picture if you asked me to imagine a sweet white wine finish on top of that original Glenmorangie 10. So no real surprises here, but again, good stuff. What is nice about this one is that while it is gimmicky, it does actually back it up with a certain level of quality. So yeah, it's a quality whiskey. Is it worth all the hype? No, I don't think so. I think it's definitely overhyped. People built it up entirely too much, but it's nice. And I think if you like your whiskeys bright, fresh, sweet, you're going to enjoy this one. Not only that, with the suggestion of cake flavors floating around in your head, you're going to find plenty of cake in this. So value's been a point of contention with this whiskey for a lot of people. A lot of people say it's too expensive, and I get it. I agree. I think this is overpriced. I think at a more reasonable price tag, I would stock up on this stuff. I legitimately like it. It's good. But at the price that it is, I honestly can buy better whiskeys. So I just think they're asking too much. It's good, but it's not that good. That being said, a lot of people do love this stuff, and you might too. I certainly do get the appeal. Now, where I live, you can still find it in a few shops, but the stock's definitely thinning out. So if it's something you're looking for, if you're seeking it out and you find it, grab it now, because I don't think you'll get the chance for much longer. Speaking personally, I have enjoyed this bottle. I'm glad I bought one. I think the price is too high to go back and buy a second, but it's been a good experience. It is good whiskey. Alright, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, hit subscribe down below, click that little bell icon, and of course, smash the like. Now, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried a Tale of Cake? What were your thoughts on it? I'm sure this will generate some interesting discussion. And finally, down in the comments, let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.